My topic is how does thermal pollution affect polar bears? And I have an image pointing to the polar bear, and you'll see how it affects to the food chain in a minute. And I jump right into microorganisms because they are the first or second in line from the sun. So that means they are at the bottom of the food web. So they get eaten by plants or plankton, which then get eaten by fish, then seals, and finally polar bears. And thermal pollution affects the entire food web because some animals may be sensitive to these changes, but the water temperature will also change the polar bear's habitat because the ice will melt, which is bad because one, the polar bears, they don't have any more ice to hunt, but where does that ice go? It floods the world. So, this is world flooding. So Florida is gone. India is almost an island. There was no more Finland or Denmark, and Australia is split in two. So I have some recommendations to stop thermal pollution, to stop this from happening. It would be to educate kids, because kids will be our energy producers of the future. And as you can see, the survey results doubled because it's 0 to 2, and then 2 to 4, it doubles from 4 to 6 to 6 to 8. It doubles, and the mean or the average number of score increase was 2.4, so they doubled. Thermal pollution is globally important. I will talk about world flooding, significant Canadian aspects, and what other countries can do to follow the lead of, and finally, why my survey educates people. And my solution is education, along with incentives, is the solution. In my opinion, this is of international importance because the ice from thermal pollution will cause rising sea levels to rise. See Figure 1. And the figures about world flooding, previously in my presentation I showed it, and I went into detail about Florida and lots of other places would be underwater. And I can go through most of them, but most of them are coastal areas such as Miami. I learned that from a CBC report, and by looking at this, Bangladesh and Venice. See image. Madagascar and Australia, Russia, India, Brazil, Cuba, China, or Saudi Arabia will be affected with many more in counting. So that means that this will affect billions of people. Significant Canadian aspects can include using wind and solar energy. Canada has lots of space, tons of space, because I did a comparison that Germany to Canada. Germany has more people, but has I'd maybe say 10 times smaller area than Canada does. So that's quite big. And the Ontario and using this space, our governments can put wind and solar energy resources, which wind and solar energy do not cause thermal pollution. The Ontario government sponsored solar energy programs, and this program was about the government giving families, farmers, and churches solar panels with a reduced price, and was allowed, and they were paid from the energy that they produced. This could be useful in other countries such as USA, Australia, and China because it is a win-win situation. This would mostly work on countries with large economies. Countries with large economies normally use thermal pollution energy resources, so this program would work even better for minimizing the thermal pollution creating energy sources. Now solar energy replaces thermal pollution energy. Now solar energy replaces thermal pollution with energy sources. For example, my grandparents' church has solar panels, and my grandpa and his church bought solar panels for $100,000. That's quite big, but solar panels were given to the incentive of 10 times the amount of money they would be making regularly. He even calculated that they're making almost $1 for each kilowatt hour. And in 8 years, and I think they've just completed their 6th year, they would pay off the $100,000 and start to make profit from it. And in another example, my grandma lives near a wind turbine. The wind turbine was built in that location because it would take advantage of the wind coming off Lake Ontario, and it is right next to the nuclear power plant in Pickering. The wind turbine takes advantage of the nuclear power plant electricity lines. This is a awesome solution for the electrical system. On a personal home basis, my family used incentives from the government to insulate our home, like replace windows and replace the furnace and air conditioning to save energy, because energy production mostly causes thermal pollution. I researched it, and Home Performance said Ontario Home Energy Audit Program rebates of $150 toward the cost of a home energy audit. This audit said that my family could get money back if these items would be replaced. This was our motivation to do this work. This ties into thermal pollution because if maybe say 1,000 or 1,000,000 families did this, the heat seeping out of the homes would cause thermal pollution to significantly decrease. Other countries can follow these examples to reduce thermal pollution. The audit was performed before and after the changes made, so that one could see the improvements. The differences could be evaluated so that the people can see positive changes they have made. The most important reason why I think my survey educates people and how bad the issue actually is. Even though shown different graphs, the survey takers still gave similar data. This shows that as long as the graph shows correct information, it will educate people. In my survey 1, everyone thought the temperature would be from 0 to minus 25 degrees Celsius. For survey 2 and 3, everyone thought that the temperature would be between 0.1 to 5 degrees Celsius. These people will now advocate for wind and solar energy to stop thermal pollution along with incentives above. I think that this would work best in China, the USA, or Australia. Because China uses coal and has only recently woken up to the fact of pollution. Because when they were filming the Olympics, the cameras couldn't see anything because of all that smog. USA would use this as an opportunity to move away from the Keystone XL, and Australia because there are deserts and huge spaces for solar panels. You could just imagine all that sun that they get. Therefore, education will go far, but with incentives, that length will be doubled.